Hello and welcome to Infamous MCP. This is Brandon or Mutilus on Discord.
This is Parker, go by One Who Parks on Discord.
And this is Aaron. I go by Treffenwood on Discord.
As always, links in the show notes. I don't think we have any news. No news?
No news.
No news. Recent events, though, we had a tournament. Parker, did you go to the tournament?
Yeah, I got to go to this one.
Nice.
It was actually a family affair. My family got to come too, which is pretty cool.
That's true.
My little girls had to learn table etiquette because they
really liked touching all of your tokens and models that were in the play area.
Yeah, they really wanted to know everything.
I was not even watching my table. I was watching you want to tear your eyes out while playing a game.
I was trying my best not to go like full like
angry dad
at them because they were being sweet and they were just excited. Mm-hmm. Because I leave for these
they don't get
to
see you play very often.
Right. And so they were really excited. They do root for me. So it's cool that they were able to see how it works. But at the same time, they specifically didn't know that at even a local competition, you don't sit right next to the table, literally hovering over it with your chin and talk the entire time somebody's trying to play. It's very unnerving. But I think they got the message. After the second time they tried it, I was like, this is what we got to do, guys. We cannot talk at the table. If you want to talk, all you have to do is step away from the table and talk. But we cannot talk at the table. They're like, okay. I think they did okay after that.
I mean, honestly, I think your blatant disrespect for child labor laws was really apparent.
Girl Scouts are not.
Pretty sure it was
I was just gonna leave it.
Disregard, not disrespect.
Yeah.
I think they did an excellent job. They actually did a really good job this year of selling. The only part about the selling of cookies, and I think I said this before on the cast, that I don't like is when I do anything to help them sell. And I know to a certain degree, I must do something because they don't know people with buying power. I do.
Yeah.
And so there must be something I can do to help them, like invite, talk to
it's not like they can go to all their friends who are also in Girl Scouts and ask them to buy boxes.
Right.
They have no money. Precisely.
Yeah. There's a energy of activation I have to help them reach.
Yeah.
But they did a very good job this year. Like in the cold, they were walking around to every house in like a 6-block radius from our house, just knocking on doors, and they sold a lot that way. And then all I had to do was ask EJ if they could come to the store, and then they do everything else. Sarah just brings the stuff that they make. So they did a really good job this year. Proud of them.
Yeah, there's a big difference between obviously the required amount of parent involvement and then you just having to send out chain emails trying to get people to buy cookies because your children didn't sell any.
Yeah.
All right, so getting into the tournament, this is our first live experiment with the new missions. We use the new missions at our local tournament. We also use the pick band format that we used at our last tournament. I think everybody still enjoyed it. I don't think anybody was upset by the fact that we did the pick band with the new missions. I think it worked out pretty well. I actually think that it's probably not warranted for the new missions, but I don't think it hurts. I think it's a more fun way to do it. So I'm going to get some more feedback from the people over the next couple of weeks and see if we want to keep doing pick ban. What did you guys think? Did you like the pick ban with the new missions?
The only thing that pick ban specifically didn't do is it didn't allow more new missions to be played. Like if that was the point of going, I was just excited to see lots more new missions, and I know some people specifically banned the new missions just because they didn't want to try to learn it in that moment, right? And so they ended up.
I didn't experience that. We exclusively did not ban new missions, so
okay,
I guess
you specifically chose
you and your
not to.
Opponent issue,
right?
No, like we were actively trying to play the new missions, and so we were banning the old missions, not because we agreed to, just like that's what the goal was, and so I guess it just depends on how you and your opponent approach the game,
right? So I guess if it was the standard randomized system, maybe there would have been a few more new games, maybe not, because you could have just taken 3 old missions and then guaranteed that it would work that way.
I know I specifically watched several people talk with their opponent about which missions they hadn't played yet, so that they could ban the ones that they had played. And so you just apparently got matched with all the dickheads. I don't know
Yep.
why that happens. Wait. Well, you didn't actually say it was your opponent doing it. Parker, would you like to explain yourself? Josh told me specifically you were being a dick.
Josh does you're really good at putting words in Josh's mouth precisely.
I did not. I don't know what you're talking about.
I honestly, I don't remember in my game if I ever thought I'm going to make sure to
How
ban
convenient. You don't recall.
old or new missions. I was specifically just trying to not. I specifically banned old missions because a lot of people I happened to play Spider Infected, and so I just happened to ban Spider Infected like 3 times because I hate Spider Infected. That's like
it's one of the worst missions that remains in the next pack.
Yeah, and I think 3 of my 4 opponents were playing that, and that's why I banned it 3 times. So there's that. But so no, I don't think I specifically did that. But I think that if you because pick ban exists, I guess there was a possibility for you to specifically not play new missions because you could make that more likely happen. But maybe it didn't.
Well, your opponent would have to bring less than 3 new missions for that to be. And even so, you'd have to bring only 1 new mission for that to be the case.
Maybe my observation did not happen. I literally heard other tables when they flipped over their missions or they're playing. I just heard them not, say the mission titles were not new ones, but.
I think the only person I saw I think there was 2 people I saw playing old missions. One of was Quentin because he's playing his web's competitive list, which, they use a lot of the old missions. And one other person, I think it was Casson, was playing old missions. I can't remember who the other person was, but they had all old missions because they just didn't want to mess with printing cards.
I played with the mix.
Yeah.
Wedding
Aaron?
Party was specifically banned in one of my games, not because it was new, just because of what the mission was.
Yeah. What was your thoughts on the pick ban?
I need to do it a couple more times.
Experiences this time was indifferent?
I think for the most part. Some of that had to do with my list. Some of it had to do with the new missions and how everything interacts. Like, I don't think there's anything as polarizing as what Researcher and the E's were.
Right.
So
exactly.
Like, okay, everything's more or less. I don't want to say samey because the missions are obviously different, but nothing matters as much as it used to. And I think that's a wrong statement because I think they will matter when we get to understand them more. But for the sake of the tournament, it was like, I don't really care if I do the A or B, right? Ban one, and then we could randomize the other one, and it would have no impact right now from where I was approaching the game at, which I think is fine.
I completely agree with everything you just said. It's way less important now than it was. So my first reaction was we should probably get rid of it then. And then I thought about it for a while, and I thought anything that removes random chance from this game and puts into it to replace calculating thought, where I can actually look at it and put effort and thought into this decision and gain an advantage, or even if not an advantage, a more pleasurable experience. I think if there's a small chance of that happening, it's worth keeping. And so that's why I ended up keeping it. But obviously we need more reps, like you said. And so I'd like to see a lot more trying before we decide to get rid of it. But I think it's honestly one of my more enjoyable parts of the game at the moment is picking missions.
Glad that you enjoy 18 seconds of the hour and a half.
Agreed. Well, because, so much of the game at this point is I feel I don't get a lot of decision making because the situation determines my choices so much so that I don't feel I really get a choice. And so having the choice over how that works and will I be forced to move here? Will I be forced to move here? Mainly the point totals, because it seems non-eventful when you're picking point totals at the end. But if you're if I can just take a 20-point mission, and that will affect my opponent's decision on what point totals they can pick. Because let's say we get down to the 2 remaining after we've each banned one. It's okay, well, there's a 17 and a 20 on my side and a 19 and a 20 on his side. Well, if I take the 20, I know we're playing at least 19 points. And so even though the mission you're choosing is a small part of that, portrait that you're painting, it can have a profound effect on the other choices and a domino effect. Mm-hmm. And I really like that. And thinking about that in the beginning of the game gives me something I feel very rewarding, even if it's only 18 seconds.
I found out that I found out that no one wants to play hammers. I don't know if that's it was small sample size, but
I've never liked hammers as a a competitive mission. I think it's pretty random as far as what it is. But yeah, I don't think I've ever noticed people afraid of hammers.
Maybe just my opponents were smart enough to look at my list and go, "Oh, he's like gonna like hammers because he'll be able to pick up the hammers, kill me, and not be there when I'm
What
dead."
were your other extracts?
Now you're making me think.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Do you know what the deployments were at least? Were they all even numbered extracts? Because if the other two were odd, maybe they're just trying to avoid an even numbered extract. He had researcher and evacuation efforts. I was like, well, shit.
It was Inhumans deploy advanced weaponry, worthy,
Okay.
and scientific samples.
I don't recall that one.
That's the one that basically gives you scientific method while you hold it,
It's
and
paranoia. Extra point if you're within 2 of a secure.
Yeah.
If all of your
characters are within 2 of a secure, yeah, you get extra points.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so you had 2 Ds and then basically, what was the old one, a J or something? Yeah, you had the all center line even numbers. So, yeah, that's odd to me that they were that afraid of hammers.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot of difference in deployments. It was really just they didn't like hammers. Mm-hmm. I just noticed. But like I said, small sample size, only 4 games, and not all of them were my reds. But there you go.
Okay, let's start off with the missions that we did play that we had opinions about. I played Inhuman Weapons. It was one of the ones I specifically wanted to get a rep in on. It seemed pretty fine. They are fairly spread out, and I think it will lead to some refuse flank type deployments. I did like how my list functioned on it. I did not like how it performed on it. I don't know if that makes sense. So my list was 4 charging models plus Mighty Thor at the point total we played, because I had Ant-Man, Zemo, Valkyrie, Sif, and Mighty Thor. I dealt 0 damage with my 4 chargers, which was the unfortunate part. But I think the decision making and everything was fine. I misplayed the first turn, which wasn't great. I could have done much better than I did. And so I regret my activation with Mighty Thor. But everything else I think I would have done again. And I liked the way it worked. It was fun. Anybody else play Inhuman Weapons and have an opinion?
Did not.
I didn't get to play it, yeah. I brought as one of mine, but I didn't get to play that one.
Okay. Well, I mean, you could have, because they banned your worthy.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I picked it because it's an even number extract, and somebody who's won a lot of games on scenario play, who's on this podcast, who will remain named. It's Aaron. He said just play even number extracts if you don't want to lose on scenario more often. So I trusted him. But in pick ban, I don't know when it'll happen. And that's kind of the thing about pick ban, right? 2 of your crises in each color will probably matter to you, and the third one will be really niche. And so maybe I need to think more, critically about when do I not want to play scientific samples or worthy. If I knew I was playing pick ban, the third one should be a good option for me. And right now it's just like the third of 3 evils. So I'm just never playing it. But
that's interesting. So yeah, I would definitely change some of my advice in a pick ban format, which makes it a little more abusable, I think. We'll see.
Abusable or like strategic? Yes.
I can enhance my chances for a turn 1 advantage.
Enhance your chances for a turn 1 advantage.
So,
because you want to play an F extract, is that right?
Only if I'm going first.
Right.
So here we go. So in a pick ban format, you don't need to play all 3 Fs. You just need to play 2 Fs.
Correct.
Well, but
so you can take out Spider Infected because nobody likes that.
You could put 2 evens in, right? Because if you're going to play 2 Fs and an even, and they ban your even and they go first, then you're going to be forced to be playing on an odd extract without prio, which is bad. So what I would do is I would play 2 evens and 1 odd, and then I would
just ban your odd.
Yeah, if they ban the odd, then okay, great. I'm playing evens, which is what I want to do anyway. And if I have prio and they choose to ban one of the evens because they don't like hammers or whatever the case is, I could choose to play the odd and have the advantage.
Because, wait, hold on. In this case, you don't have prio. Isn't odd bad if you don't have prio?
You're just choosing damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Well, no, if I get prio, so if I get prio with even extracts, I don't have an advantage. I just haven't given up anything.
Right.
Yeah.
But what if
And
one
so
of my
when-
extracts is a 5F, and I have
No,
the
just-
setup to take it?
It just means that it's okay to put an odd numbered in.
Yeah.
Because even if your opponent wins prio, you'll just not
play
pick
it.
the odd.
Yep. You don't
Yeah.
play it if your opponent wins prio,
Exactly.
but if they don't ban it, you can play it if you win prio.
Correct.
Right.
And so if they're deathly terrified of another mission for some reason, which
Yep.
seems odd but possible,
So there you go.
I think what it does is it encourages people to play 3 different types of missions. Because as we've seen, the redundancy is kind of lost when it's like, okay, well, I have 2 of one and 1 of another. Well, yeah, but then your opponent just bans the one that you want and you're stuck in the same spot. I think having an actual diversity is better then, because if you do get into a bad spot by having 3 different types of missions, you can get rid of the problem one. And that's not normally something you can do. And so it basically, because both people are basically playing on the middle of 3 evils as opposed to the worst or the best, then I think it's better to diversify because it leaves yourself more options.
This is really interesting.
It does get interesting. Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No. I think I cut you off. I didn't realize you were in the middle of a sentence.
But yeah, no, this is what I like about it, is it actually creates genuine thought instead of just going, flip one over, and you're like, okay. And then you're just stuck with the shit show that you get presented, and you're like, well, this isn't interesting. This is adapting to a situation, but it's not, there's no intriguing thought behind it.
Wow.
You either brought the answers or you didn't.
Yeah, I think this pick band thing, like, if I'm playing pick band, I absolutely don't bring in humans because I like samples and worthy more.
I
for my
mean,
list.
personal opinion, Parker, I think if there's a mission you don't want to play, you shouldn't put it in your roster, but
No.
pick band does make that different.
No. It's not
You
that I
can now
don't.
ban it.
It's not that I don't want to play it. It's that like I said, it's the least objectionable. You know, it's the most difficult one to not auto lose on. If they, in a regular scenario, if they see I have Montesi, they say you're reds because I have prio, and I can grab this turn 1 and I'll be up on reds and hide on blues, like, and I'll pick my blues. And I'll go hide on 3 of them with 2 Montesi tokens and win automatically by turn 2, functionally. But in this pick band specifically, I could absolutely play Montesi. They could get priority. They could say you're reds, and then I just don't pick Montesi, so I'm not punished for it. And in the other case scenario where I get priority, I'm okay with their blues. I pick my reds. And then they decide, do they want me to play with my favorite mission worthy or Montesi, where I go +1, not intending to win by scenario, but I'm much safer if they only get 1 extract. The game slows down considerably. Ooh.
Where was this level of insight while you were playing in the event?
It was nowhere because this is my first pick band event. I've never.
But did you have fun?
I am now.
It's Wednesday for those people at home.
Yeah.
The tournament was on Saturday.
Yeah. Saturday I was just kind of, pissing in the wind and getting sprayed by it. But now I actually,
and I like the taste.
Didn't you make top table pissing in the wind?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm like, wait a second. It's like your impression is I showed up and I floundered to a last place finish.
I think he's more just regretting that there was all this intricate thought he could have put into his games that he didn't.
Yeah.
But
if Parker likes one thing, it's overthinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, I made my list just imagining I was playing MCP. I didn't actually think about pick ban. But now I need to just think about pick ban. This totally changes everything. That's really cool.
Everything. Okay. Let's see. Other mission I played was worthy, so that's not relevant. Let's talk about other extracts that you guys played for the first time. Did you guys play any new extracts?
I played 2 new extracts.
Ooh, which one did you play?
First one was scientific samples.
Okay, nice.
That mission is not okay.
Yeah, I've heard that.
How is it not okay? Do tell.
So it's paranoia, right? But it's a safe paranoia. So instead of all 4 of them being on the midline, it's a D shape.
Yeah.
I won 17-5 on round 3.
Yeah, because if you have one safe grabber, you just grab one of the flanks and come back home, and then you just have a little pile of dudes.
So
And
it
like,
was
that's
a
worth 3
scientific
points.
infinity. So Tobe was able to double move and pick up the scientific sample while being within 2 of the infinity.
That seems fine.
Right? So, totally fine.
this mission is going to 100% require people to have midline grabbers. Because not only are you safe, you get an extra victory point.
Incentivize, right? I'm not saying you can't win without it.
So, yeah, I guess the question is, I mean, if you're playing meta, like you're trying to be competitive, and you don't have a midline grabber, I don't know what you're doing.
I mean, but you might be playing this on riots, in which case everything's co-located. So, if you pick it up and don't get moved off, you're guaranteed to be on it. Anyway, it all depends on the secure that you're playing. But yeah, the extra scoring, I think he was off of his back point on turn 1 because he threw a Namor down to my back infinity. Like he was like, nope, we're going for it. And I had to end up using Black Bolt's taunt or bodyguard to save Medusa a couple times, and then ended up out attritioning him in my back right corner while holding all of the extracts the entire game. That lasted, like I said, 3 rounds. So his dice did not kill Medusa, and he just lost the game. And because I was scoring 5 every turn until he changed that, and he tried to change it, he just, dice didn't work out. I had a bodyguard.
Yeah.
So.
Did he have charging Namor, or was he just double moved?
He was under Steve 1, so he was a charging Namor. Yes.
Spicy.
So he went 4 wide, which I think was a problem. We talked about it afterwards. I really think he needed to go 5 wide on that particular scenario combination, if you will, just to ensure that you could give people the proper support. It was going to be a scenario mission, and anytime you're playing scenario, I think the extra body helps.
Cool. So, do you think this mission is just objectively abusable?
Abusable is a tough word. Going to be the star mission for any team looking to hard scenario? Absolutely.
Because Quentin wasn't playing this. Do you think he just hasn't had enough experience with it to see the power in it?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah,
I 100% think you should be playing this mission.
That's what I would go with as well.
I think one of the interesting things. So I played this one with Mayor Fisk, and it turned it into a mosh pit, and I rope-a-doped because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had to come into the Mayor Fisks, and I pulled them together to the middle. And because he didn't want to fight, that he was playing Brotherhood, and it was Zach playing Brotherhood. He did not want to fight, but I brought him to the middle, and I killed his stuff, picked up all the extracts, all the Fisks, and just did a big rope-a-dope in one turn, and scored what is that, 11? No, 9. And so...
Wait, you actually scored 9?
Yeah.
Well, that's a little on, learning the new missions, but yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Just because the mission says get extra points doesn't mean you should die to do it.
Yeah. My favorite weird scoring game was, I think it was Montesi Gamma against Jeremy. I scored 8 on turn 1.
Yeah. Strong.
But it was so I guess what I'm saying is the scientific samples, it does seem like I agree with you. It's so much stronger than Paranoia, right? You don't have to group together. Paranoia actually can benefit, some attrition teams if you're grouping together. You don't take a damage. Again, you don't want all your characters that are scenario, key pieces to be -1 health. This one doesn't do either of those. However, if you don't get the right blue, man, oh man, that would be really hard. In pick ban specifically, you would have to be playing against another scenario team, right? Because if your opponent...
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone lets this mission through if you're playing against an attrition team.
Well, I could let it through if I didn't have priority, right? Because my opponent would get to pick, if they pick their reds, because I know they get to choose, and they
have like 2 Fs.
And I am the attrition team, and I have something that lets them come to the middle, like Fisk, or what's the I deployment one? I can't remember the name of it.
Parker, didn't we play this game in the final?
Did we?
F deployment into Fisk? Yeah.
F deployment into Fisk.
Yeah, he's saying that you had
it was cubes instead of samples, but
Yeah.
same principle.
Just be clear, people home, Mayor Fisk mission, not Fisk leadership.
Yeah. It was cubes. So what's your question? I'm confused.
He's just saying that that's the mission
you're like, hypothetically, if you played an F and gave your opponent Prio and you are playing Fisk, I'm like, that's absolutely what you and I did. I have Prio on cube into Fisk.
But all of your guys could score away. You were scoring 3 without being close to the Fisks. That's how you won, right? I couldn't leave the Fisks to go get you because you had enough stuff to control me to come back and easily like 1v1. But specifically, the extracts are scoring max 2 unless they come into the Fisk tokens, right? Because that was my round 3. So what I'm saying is, without pick ban, it's absolutely just better for the scenario team to have. I'm already blanking on the name of the what's the name of the
samples?
Samples, yeah.
So
it's just better for samples in a standard game for the scenario team, absolutely. But in a pick ban, you can manipulate this a little bit because you have more knowledge about what's happening, I think.
Under the assumption that they're going to let you play samples, yes. I think, again, like Aaron's saying, is this going to be quickly identified as the pinnacle of scenario team mission because it scores like an F, but you only have to actually get 2 tokens, and you can hide with them on most of the blue missions. It's only, Wedding Party and Intrusions and Mayor Fisk are the centerline blues. Everything else has back points.
There's another really big deal with it, which is giving all of your guys scientific hubris.
Potentially extra power, yeah.
It's not nothing. It's a real thing.
It's pretty stupid.
Yeah, this can also pair with the blue mission that gives you extra power for having extracts, right?
I mean, I played it on Infinity. I was sitting there rolling my defense dice, getting powering up for 2.
Yeah.
Now,
I think Web, and not to mention it's a fucking D. Like, that's like their wheelhouse already. Webs are gonna fucking love this.
Anyway, I do not like samples. I think it's stupid.
Yeah. I actually think Cubes is going to be the one that gets dropped. I don't think Webs want to take free damage for no reason, even though it gives them power. This gives them power without taking damage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a D extract, which I still think that not enough people utilize Nick Fury as like a 10th character drop in to take advantage of. Because a lot of people will use the same logic of, I'll get rid, like, I'm hoping you don't get an F, but like, so few teams can actually take advantage of Nick Fury getting both extracts. Especially if you've got good characters behind them to back them up. All right, what was the next new mission you played, Aaron?
Terrigen Canisters.
This one's been talked about a lot.
So, unlike samples, I really like Terrigen Canisters. I ended up playing this in round 3. It ended up hugely affecting me because I'm playing a blitz, take all your shit and run away. You can't run away when you're short. I mean, you can with certain people and conditions, but did not help my turn 1. I only got back to the midline because I had to move short away. I stole his back F. And because of it, he was able to like walk one-shot me. It still shouldn't have happened, but he did.
This is your Quicksilver in humans play?
Quicksilver. That's okay because
I'm sorry, world. I apologize again.
My Black Bolt walked one-shot at his Agent Venom, so we made up for it. But yeah, so now we're talking about wanting to pick up extracts, but having a negative effect that is not like power and damage or poison. It's just, maybe poison. Just speed short, it's the guarantee. I really like this, foil mechanic to the scenario team that wants to play wide.
I think it's situationally very relevant. I think in other times it's not as punitive that a lot of people think. So if the mission is somewhat even, where like, obviously it's an odd number, so it's never going to be perfectly even. But if like 2 of their important characters have extracts and 3 of your important characters have extracts, it's kind of a wash. I think the issue is when it goes to like 4-1, it does let you chase them down because they all have to be on different people. Mm-hmm. And that means their whole team is basically speed short. Yep. And now they can't run. And I think that's what it's actually somewhat good at balancing is if it goes super landslided, I think it does help bring it back.
I think Web still want to play this. Like they have a lot of non-movement actions. But like the team I was playing, Blitz Inhumans, I'm not so sure they do. Even though they're immune to poison, but Quicksilver's not.
Yeah.
The
interesting part is like, let's say you've got your name or whoever big scary character that's chasing down a web warrior or a whoever that has a token. Well, if they're going to like Black Hat move short and then grappling hooks, like, well, guess what? She's out of range now. You can't get her, and so because you're going to move short, do nothing. And so unless you've got a really good gun, or you can ignore stealth, or you can like double move throw, it's really limited for you to do anything about them running away. if they can get outside of your speed short. So chasing someone with an extract is very difficult.
Yeah.
I will say that the poison, I got to play this one in round 2. The poison condition was not nothing. Both of the characters that I had that picked up the extract on turn 1 both failed the poison check, and they both started round 2 with 0 power. That would have felt terrible. I just happened to also play on, I can't remember what's the new, I don't remember the name of any of this stuff. The new secure that gives you a power if you have an extract. So that counteracted it a little bit, but if we didn't have that, it's the new sword base style one.
I played that one. Imkron?
Yeah, Imkron, yeah.
Yeah, Imkron.
So since we were playing on Imkron, it happened to not totally bone me. But if I wasn't playing on specifically Imkron, it would have been terrible to start the 2 of my characters with 0 power on turn 2. Very few characters like to have 0 power. It's not really. It's very, very rare in this game.
Yeah, that's the reason I think it might actually end up making like scenario teams lists, is because if nothing slows down the fight better than having 0 power, right? It's like can't spender, can't charge, can't do shit. And so you're kind of just watching the game happen on round 2 with a lot of characters. So it means that you either brought a bunch of cheap do-nothing characters that don't need power and consolidated your resources into the few other characters you have that aren't picking up extracts, or you're kind of fucked because you're going to have characters that want to do stuff that can't.
And that's exactly what I did. I had 2 2-point characters specifically there because, like, well, if I get fucked and I fail these rolls, my 4 or 5 point character is not just auto ruined on turn 2, and that worked. But like you said, if I wasn't, I would have been fucked. So
Aaron, you said that you thought this was like a good pick for a scenario team. Do you think it actually makes the cut of 3? Does it beat out one of the other high scoring missions?
I'm gonna say yes. And I really think this is nuanced, which is why I like it. Webs, absolutely. So if I'm playing webs, I fucking hate spider infected, right? If you're able to push my web warrior next to your person who then has prio to kill the web warrior that you would have otherwise had to move and attack, like you get the double tap now, I think that's really bad. Vice versa is true, right? I can push you away or I can move you forward, but
a lot of people are like
dislike the chaos more than anyone else.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, well, like, this is great because I'll be able to walk their attrition people away as they're trying to kill me. But actually what happens is you have all the fucking tokens, and so your people are the ones getting moved, and you get walked into death.
Yep.
And you're 100% right. Oh, look, I'll walk you out of lifesaver range and out of me having to move so you can't trigger Spider Tracker. Or I'll walk you out of cover and off of this other point. And you're like, oh yeah, this is fucking terrible. Or like, I'll walk you into stealth range. And so there's so many ways it can bone you as a scenario player. And as an attrition player, obviously if you don't have proactive movement, that's really punishing. But so often that's not the case. Like if you're playing an attrition team, you have no way to move your own models. That's really bad. You should probably play different models.
Now, assuming it's not a pick ban format, like my list was running all 3 F extracts. And I think that there's absolutely a place for that. Right? Like, I literally don't give a shit. Like, pick one. Like, all I'm going to do is score 4 of them, and you can get fucked.
Is that what you played, or is that you're saying what's what you play if it wasn't a pick ban format?
Well, I both played that because I didn't do the in-depth analysis Parker is wanting to do now. And for everyone else out there listening who does not routinely play in pick ban, yes, I think there's, despite the fact that I would like to drop Spider Infected for this, I think there's still a very good reason to run Spider Infected, Cubes, and this.
I believe that's also what Quinn did. I think he just ran 3 Fs. Because technically speaking, I think we all agree here that Senators is not the choice, but it technically has 6 extracts.
Senators is probably the choice from my list after I played on it once when it wasn't mine.
For you, I can see that. Not for Webs, obviously. Yeah. So yeah, there's the 6 extracts, there's the 3/5 extracts, and then there's the 4 extract with the bonus point. And then outside of weird stuff like Legacy Riders, that's pretty much the max scoring. And so it's interesting to me that you think the D with the extra point is also on the cut list, right? Like it's top tier. And I'm surprised that, well, I guess not surprised. What do you think gets cut of the 4? Because Senators,
it depends what you're trying to do.
Specialty.
Like I can't steal I can technically steal your back D, but it takes very precise setup. So if I'm trying to steal your back F, then I can't play the D. I did have Fury on my list, so I could try to just take both D center lines. That wasn't my primary game plan of mine. I really wanted the Quicksilver Steel because it's a lot, I think, safer than putting Fury and the Grunts on the midline.
Yeah.
So I really think it's going to come down to individual teams and what they're trying to accomplish with those 5 missions.
Yeah.
Like I would still run either triple F or double F and Senators.
Okay. Parker, did you play any new extracts?
Exactly those.
Okay.
I didn't get to play. What was the one we didn't get to play?
We talked
Inhumans.
about all 3. I talked about
weaponry.
Inhuman weapons.
Yeah, that was the one.
So you guys had the exact same 3 extracts, and neither of you played.
So we didn't play
Inhuman
Unexpected
weapons?
Guests. I guess that was the other one.
Yeah, I played Unexpected
Oh,
Guests in a friendly game last week, but not at the tournament.
Yeah.
Unexpected Guests is the Bravo deployment.
Yeah, Bravo deployment.
Oh, and you get pushed.
Toward.
Yeah. I watched this one get played. I did not get to play it myself.
Yeah, this one was. Yeah, this one is. I played 2 games actually last Thursday night with that one. I took it out of my list because I was like, I don't trust this. I don't like it. Happened to work for me, but it wasn't like it. It was kind of bizarre. At one point of the game, it was clutch. It was so important for me to be able to push their Hulk back towards my list. It was such a big deal. It totally changed that game. And yet at the same time, you pointed out, you're like, yeah, but if this was a different secure, then there would have been no way you would have ever lived with this character, right? Like it's such a volatile one. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm wrong, and it's kind of like you'll always get a chance to do something with it because somebody's picking up the extract. But man, that one seemed. This one just seems obnoxious as hell. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe in pick ban is safer because you can choose when to use it.
I think a lot of people don't realize how annoying it's going to be to get pushed in inopportune times, because like Spider Infected is very similar to this, and we just talked about it. So often you're so focused on what you'll be able to do to your opponent's models, you forget how punitive it's going to be to you. And so a lot of these new ones that have strong secondary effects, you're really going to have to think about who in your list is going to be holding them and how many tokens your team is going to have on different turns. Because if you're playing, like Web Warriors or some scenario team, and you're trying to collect as many of them as possible through stealing and stuff, well, keep in mind, that means all of your characters are potentially getting moved repeatedly, and that can be very, very impactful to the game. You can also get people very far away with a simple board controls. Like, I'll just throw you medium this direction, and then walk you in the control or power phase over to here. It's like, it's very far.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's move on to secures real quick. I'll go first. I know for certain that I played Imkron Crystal. Let me pull it up real quick. I liked this one. It did not feel terrible. There was a lot of times in sword base where it seems fine, and then the push just critically breaks your back, and it's really bad. I liked that this one had a very mild secondary effect. It was just fun to play.
I think I'll just go ahead and speak for Quentin that this is a terrible mission, and he hates it. I don't normally put words in people's mouths, but he did not appreciate this one. Mostly just because with anything that's a pay to flip, there's a chance that your scenario team could just not roll crits, hits, or wilds, and that's it. And that's what happened to him. He just tried to roll crits, hits, and wilds to flip points, and he just didn't. And that was that. He felt like his agency to win the game was just taken from him with a bunch of coin flips. And
I know he tried to complain to me, and I was just like, "Shut up, loser!"
Yeah,
because we were playing right next to each other.
Yeah,
and I totally feel for him. Failing panda flips is like not a good feeling.
Yeah,
but the chain of attack rolls that Cassin's CGR was on was just so infuriating. One of the turns he wasn't even psychosis. His attack rolls were 6, 6, 6, 5, 6, 6, 5, 13. I was tabled. I think his Nova maybe did 2 damage the entire game, and his Thanos did none, and I was tabled.
Wow.
It was a great game. I played Odin's Blessing. Did nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. So any other thoughts about Imkron? Other than pay to flips can sometimes be annoying with random RNG?
Yeah, I think it is I think I'm going to continue playing it as, and maybe Aaron can disagree with me. I think this one is pretty fair for the attrition play because everybody's really close together. Everybody's in range of 3 and definitely 4 range attacks and charges from medium models. And then the ability to flip things over could be dangerous. But the easiest way to flip things is if they're dead, right? So what do you think, Aaron? Is this a safe one for a attrition based team, or is it too
absolutely
possible?
Again, I played pure scenario. I wanted to play new missions. I looked at this, was like, no, I really can't put this in my list. So yeah, probably pretty good for scenario. Or sorry, attrition.
All right, next one I played was Wedding Party Targeted, which is the pseudo Mayor Fisk mission that's further apart. This one was of a hot topic at the tournament. Some people did not like it at all.
I'm one of those.
They are very far apart, and it seems like a guaranteed refuse flank mission every time you play it. Yeah, I don't know. It feels odd. I'm not sure how this mission is supposed to work. It seems so simple, yet it feels like an enigma. Like, I'm not sure what the goal was. I'm not it doesn't feel like it was, I don't know, well formed. And so I assume that's due to me not understanding the mission. And Mayor Fisk was very much the same way when we first got a hold of it. We were like, how is this supposed to work? Because we kept playing the way we'd normally play missions, and things went weird. And it took a while to get the understanding to play it. So I still want some reps with this, but it seems odd.
I totally agree with you. This one seems half-baked because after playing it for, I've now played it only once, so maybe my take is half-baked. But man, it sure didn't seem like I had my car. Like I didn't.
And then I watched it pass me, and I was very confused.
Yeah, I was just like, why? With Fisk, you're like, okay, I'll let them take this round, and then I'll come back. And you're like, nope, you never came back. They took it and they kept it. The end, because it takes so long for the token to cross the table. The game is over before it crosses enough to be able to engage with the one that you're not holding. And since your opponent can move the other one even away if you'd like, at some point you kind of have to just abandon one of them to go to the other. But if you do it at the wrong time, or if they have any model that can move, push, or move, superpower, pull, like there's so many ways this could be abused by a list that is efficient. So I got bullied around by a Scarlet Spider of all things, because Scarlet Spider has the ability to move a lot of models in one activation. And so basically one Scarlet Spider would sit on one of the tokens, and a portion of his list would sit on the other. And if I ever left less than 2 models on my own side, then Scarlet Spider just took them away, and I lost 4 points. That's how I lost. I was like, I can't do anything. So I sent 3 models to the other side, and they just ate them. And because Scarlet Spider literally stood there, not scoring, and just waiting for me to move.
Yeah.
It was really bizarre, and I hated that. I was at the end of the game, I was like, wow, because you took Scarlet Spider on this mission, I could do nothing. That's bad.
It feels like a 1v1 game of capture the flag. It's like, if I leave my base to go to your base, like, you'll just take my flag. You're like, yeah. And so you both kind of just stare at each other like, well, what am I supposed to do then?
Yeah.
It's like a Mexican standoff of scenario points.
Yeah. And specifically, like I said, there are lots of characters that can move 2 characters in a round, or can expect to.
Yeah, or more.
And so, yeah, or more.
Just think about it, like, Lizard just runs up and monkey brains and clears your point. You're like, oh shit! Like, yeah, 4-0 is not a tenable fucking scenario turn.
And here's the thing. When Mayor Fisk did 4-0, you could make them pay for it, and now you're bringing them together. Let's fight again, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one, your opponent does 4-0 because of something like Monkey Brain, and then you're like, okay, 3 turns.
And then they run because they've won.
Yeah, because they're going to keep the other one. You're not going to be able to score enough back. That's it. In 2 turns, it's over. Man, I do not like this one. I do not like it. This one feels
what I would like
very
to see?
gameable.
Just a random thought is let's do a D deployment like this. They're all Mayor Fisk rules, and it's a D deployment, but they're each worth 1. I think that could be crazy and fun.
I'm on board.
Because all 4 points are moving, but they're each worth 1 point. It'd be so weird.
I think I don't think a lot of scenario teams are going to reach for this one because the usual thing is spread out. But I actually think a scenario team that has 1 or 2 pocket characters that specifically take advantage of this should heavily consider this. It is a way to run away with the game in a way your opponent cannot counter.
So the issue I have is I don't think it allows you to score enough points to close out the game on the turns you want.
Ugh.
I think this mission, the only reason it's dangerous because if they can just manage to contest one of them, you can only get 2 points a turn, and that's not fast enough.
Mm.
And obviously, if you can manage to get the 4, it's worth it always. But if you go, we push on round 1, and we push on round 2, and we push on round 3, they're getting a turn 4 I didn't want them to get, and they might even get a turn 5 I didn't want them to get. And that gets into like a death spiral really quickly. But I could easily see good scenario teams winning on this mission, which is why I think a lot of attrition teams won't play it. And so I don't think it'll ever be an issue because the only teams that are going to play this, much like Mayor Fist back in the day, are teams that do take advantage of it. There's going to be teams that have like Peter 1 or, new Thanos doesn't really board control like he used to, but people like that can just bomb points. Like, I'm going to take Blob, and if I hit Explosive Force on a wide Brotherhood list, I win because I'm scoring 4 points with 1 freaking wild roll. Stuff like that is going to happen, I think.
Yeah. Aaron, what do you think?
I don't have anything further to comment.
Is that because you haven't played it yet?
Correct. And all of your discussions seem very cogent.
Okay.
Cogent?
I think cogent analysis. You haven't heard that before?
No. I'm just saying. I think we got the name of the episode. Just that word, cogent.
I'm just all about words today, man.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. All right. What new Secures did you guys play?
None.
You're so boring.
I brought Wedding Party.
You and your goddamn
I think it's very
bread.
abusable, but
okay.
People were like, that looks very abusable. Ban it. That was the only one I brought that was banned.
I played Deadline to Destruction.
I also played that and forgot. All right, go ahead.
It definitely won me a game because, as it turns out, doing a damage was a really big deal. It literally won me a game early. I probably could have closed it out eventually, but it was just one of those situations where I was playing an affiliation. It was Elsa, so she does a lot of tick damage, just tick damage everywhere, and pretty soon a Spider-Woman, Josh's Spider-Woman, found herself with 1 health and an extract. And here we go. Tick, 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 tick. Oh, she fell down. It was pretty bizarre.
My first round game was against, I know his name. It is Skylar. He played Weapon X into my Hyper Aggro Asgard Go Wide list, which was like a blindfold and grenade fight. I don't know if you've ever been in one of those. It's kind of terrifying. We basically all just ran to the center screaming, and then a lot of stuff died really fast. He got the short end of the stick on like timing. I think he left Hela on 1. She had 10 power and 3 souls when she activated, and then she dazed 3 people, and then she died, which was irrelevant because she killed 3 people first. I don't know if you heard that part.
Mm-hmm. I heard you.
Yeah, and then there was a bunch of crazy shit that happened. As usual, my Valkyrie was a freaking all-star. Josh is wrong. I'm sorry, Josh. This is a personal attack. Yeah, we had a lot of fun on this mission. We never once interacted with the points, which was cool because we were too busy killing each other. But yeah, it was super fun. I want to play it more. Parker, did you play any other new blues?
Nope. I got to play against this one against Josh, and then every other one. This one specifically got banned in all my other games because nobody wants to play this shit.
I'm surprised. It's probably because Nigel ranted like a madman last week about how terrible this mission is.
Yeah. I think people are really scared to get in the the crossfire and then just basically auto fall down. It's real.
I mean, if you're playing an attrition team, I don't know why this isn't like the first one you reach for.
Absolutely, but I played against something. I played against something but scenario teams except for round 1.
Okay,
so.
I banned the shit out of this when I saw it. Like,
yeah,
hey, you cannot get further away from me quick enough.
Yeah.
I don't think this mission is as terrifying, obviously, as Nigel made it out to be. I don't think it's anywhere near that. As usual, much like Loki 2, if you don't read his card and then walk face first into every rule on it, that's kind of your fault, and you obviously have to put more thought into it than that. But, I mean, this mission is scary, but, like, just drop the fucking token. Like, if you made a mistake, don't let them kill you for it. Like, it's like, oh no, I have to drop the token. Like, you figure it out later. Like, do the same thing right back to them.
Yep.
Like, it's going to take some practice, just like any other mission that has crazy rules. Like, it doesn't seem insane to me.
So I really like the concept. I have never played on it, but I really want to. Like, say you're playing hammers. They double move, pick up a hammer. You're like, double move, interact, take a point. Double move, interact, take a point. You're like, right?
Yeah.
So is that good, bad? Like, I don't know. So I'm still very intrigued with this mission.
My opponent correctly selected, I think it was 4 healing factor models and a Skull 2, which was not fun. And so he's like, oh, so you could just interact 5 times and also heal all the damage off? That seems not great. So we just had to fight it out.
That was the first, not thought, because we talked a little bit last week of what I might take, and then I completely took something else. But one of the initial thoughts I had was, I'm just going to take healing factor models. Like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to, like, all these missions that just do damage, like, nope.
Just like Paranoia. Yeah, it's like, just take Lizard, you'll be fine.
Yeah, we're just going to be okay.
In fact, take, oh no, because Rhino and those other people specifically say enemy effects, and so it's a game effects. You wouldn't gain extra power.
I don't know about Rhino.
Pretty sure Rhino says
enemy?
Friendly or enemy.
Okay.
Friendly or enemy.
Got it.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I think Deadline is going to be more fun because it's like a D, but because it's not as spread out, because the side points are further in, it's not islands. It's actually like a flowing battlefield, which is really nice.
That is true. We were moving around a lot. Yeah. Like it encouraged a strange thing where I sent Ultron 2 to his back point, like to his side on the Deadline, because I was like, this is actually the best place to be. And he was constantly rotating. I was constantly rotating. It made a really dynamic field. It
felt more like meteors, because it's like they're all close enough that you can participate, but you have to like double move to get to the points pretty often.
Yeah.
Unless you're like right on the corners. And so it's kind of like that, like, well, I need to move over here, or like, hey, I have a charge, I might as well take advantage of it. So there's a lot of mobility effects that get used that normally wouldn't on a map, just because you're like, oh, this would be a more convenient place to stand. But not because you're like, well, I have to move charge, or else I won't get to do anything.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of people usually standing in range. Okay. Any overarching thoughts on the new missions as a whole so far?
My overarching thought is the most impactful change to the game made with these missions is none of the new missions. It's the removal of the E's and Researcher.
Yes, I would agree.
100%.
I thought before they even spoiled the new missions that I wanted them to lower the average score of the missions. I think Researcher and some of the E's obviously could be impactful. Like, if you're playing Demons Researcher, like, that's not what a mission should be. But also, Senator Scoundrels is not what a mission should be. Like, I felt like there was a middle ground in there somewhere, and I just think that number is lower than where the devs think it should be. And so I think there's too many points available currently. And like you were just talking about with the new Effective Paranoia one, it's the samples mission, I think.
Scientific samples, yeah.
Yeah, and then the fact that there are 3 Fs and Senators still available past that mission, I think that's too many points. Like, if you want points, they're there to take, and that's what I don't like about the missions. So I think it encourages a playstyle that I don't like.
There are plenty of blues that are going to score 3 or less, right? Well, technically 4, but...
there's a bunch of 4s, but I think...
If you're playing attrition and you got meteors, Deadline to Destruction, and what's the other really... intrusions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're pure star, you hate all 3 of those. Or all 4, all 3 of those.
Mm-hmm.
So you shouldn't get stuck on a super high-scoring mission unless you want it. Like, you have to halfway contribute to it.
So that's what I'm talking about. I just think what is considered super high-scoring missions is way higher than I think. And low-scoring missions is higher than I think as well.
Sure. Okay.
Like, if we've got 2 4-point missions, that's 8 points on the table. That's a high-scoring mission to me. And I think the community at large thinks that's average. And I just think 8 points around when you're racing to 16 is too fast.
Understand your point.
Like, it's a 6-turn game, and I rarely get to play turn 4.
Oh yeah, my games were 3, 3, 4, and 4.
Yeah. When's the last time you played round 5?
They were over. I want to
Yeah.
say each game was effectively over the round before it ended.
Yeah. And that's even playing 3, 3, 4, 4. Like your average game length was 2.5 rounds. Like
like my first 2 games were effectively over at the end of round 2. They were done.
Yeah. I played against Quentin in round 3, and we played a pretty good game, I think. I wasn't really trying to compete early on, and I made some poor decision-making process there. But once I kind of locked into the game, I got more engaged. I definitely drug it out longer than it had any right to be playing. We played to turn 5, but at the start of turn 5, it was mathematically impossible for me to stop him from winning that turn. But we played out the round because, you know, roll dice, whatever.
Yeah.
And so the game effectively went to turn 4, and it was 15-13 or something like that. And it took a lot to stop him at 15 on turn 4. And that was with us playing the best combination of the 6 missions we had. Because of the pick ban, I got rid of the worst case scenario for me. And I think he picked a mission to ban that he just didn't want to play for aesthetic reasons as opposed to game impact. Like, he's like, I just don't like that mission as opposed to it's bad for my list. And so then I got to pick what I think was the best red mission for me. And I think he chose the second worst, or really the best mission for me of his as well, because I don't think he really understood the interaction of the 2 missions we had. We played Inhuman Weapons and Extremis, which I think was the best for me. And I really had no shot at winning that game. I would have had to nuclear dice him off the table to have a shot at winning. And the fact that we even got to turn 5 was surprising to me, and I was happy that we got to play that much of the game. But I don't think that the average scoring should be 9, and I think in most games it's going to be 9. Parker, what are your thoughts on the overarching missions?
I think that the game doesn't need 6 turns anymore. I think it only needs 3.
You think the game only needs 3, or it only has 3?
It basically only has 3. Like like we don't need to play more anymore. However, specifically with pick ban now, I am going to design it so we're going to go to 6 every time, baby. We're gonna
good luck. If you can do it, I'll be happy.
We're gonna get there. I think in the generic rules as written game, I think it's going to feel. Now, I'm sorry. This is if you're playing, you know, a wide variety of lists. But if you see a tournament or you just happen to go through a tournament and you only play against other attrition players, then you probably could go to round 4 or maybe even 5, dare I say 6, with parity, right? You're kind of going back and forth at, 1 or 2 each round different. That's what happened to me in my first round. We were, very, very close until, I started to win in attrition at the end and it wasn't close anymore. But so I think you will still see that when people are playing, fair lists and attrition lists. But if there are a few scenario lists out there in your tournament or in your meta, you're going to see those games always end much faster now as opposed to before where they could go a little longer or they had a potential to. There's just too many options now. And I think it's going to overall drop the average length of game down. Although there is one kind of model that I'm really excited to see become less important. I have a prediction that your large AoE disruptors like Crimson Dynamo are going to become a lot less effective when you can't just sit him
with E's gone.
Exactly. Yeah. That's I think going to be one of the biggest things about the loss of E and Researcher is we're going to see those models that were incredibly effective at just standing in a central location and affecting the whole game so well. We're going to see them a lot less. Shuris, Crimson Dynamos. I'm just trying to think of some others off the top of my head. Those kind of models that could just stand there and affect the entire game from where they were standing and just
Sentinel Prime.
Sentinel Prime. Yeah, like Sentinels. We're going to see Sentinel Prime less.
Maximus the Mad.
When we see him.
Nerf maybe? Before he even came out.
Yeah. There are a lot of models that really benefited from just we don't see him very much, but OG Loki, he just kind of stand in the middle of things and affect everything. It's actually really hard for him to do that now.
I saw OG Loki at the tournament.
Yeah, I wasn't playing him. Who played him?
You played him.
No, I took him out.
Am I thinking about Thursday? I'm thinking
about Thursday. I took him out and I replaced him with a model that performed much better. It was Ultron 2. I really enjoyed Ultron 2. Now I know why you enjoy playing him so much. He is a blast.
He was fun. You should have tried him in my bullshit list. That was fun.
Yeah.
They've neutered him to the point where he's not even the same model anymore.
Yeah. I don't think you need Age of Ultron. Just roll blocks all the time, and he feels great.
Yeah, obviously better if you roll infinite blocks.
Yeah. But anyway, on ease, I think we'll see less models like the turrets with amazing AoE buffs or debuffs, which I think is just good. As much as I love playing Shuri, she doesn't feel very fair when you just stand there and shoot. There is an affiliation, one of my favorite ones, that I think is really going to suffer from this, and it makes me sad. I don't think A-Force was already on the downturn. I think they are a hot dumpster fire right now.
I'm glad you finally joined the party.
Yeah.
I haven't seen A-Force played in over a year, at least. Maybe 2 years. We're coming up on it. They were ancient when, the second core set came out.
Yeah.
And we see Sentinels played, we see Unaffiliated played, we see Winter Guard played constantly. They're nowhere.
Another model like that is Magneto Brotherhood. They were already struggling. I think I'm with Zach. I think Mystique Brotherhood actually got better. There are a lot of they can use a lot of this cool stuff. Specifically, a lot of the secure stuff they can use. It's super cool.
Yeah.
But Magneto Brotherhood got actively much worse.
We might talk a lot about that a little bit next week.
Yeah. So basically, anybody who just liked to stand there and super buff or super debuff, or affiliations that needed to stand there and bunch up like A-Force.
Aura characters, yeah. People that affect an area.
Yeah, I think they're really going to see a lot less success. You'll still have good games, but you'll have a lot less success than you used to.
All right. Well, I think we're going to call it there for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our talk. We'll probably be slowing down on the scenario talk a little bit now that we've gotten some games in, but we'll probably still have some more thoughts next week. This has been Brandon.
And Parker.
And Aaron.
And you've just listened to Parker Targeted in Terrible Attack.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.